Good evening and welcome to this digitally enabled online meeting of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth, held on Monday, December 20th, 2021. I'm Mayor Todd Kasenberg and I'll call this meeting to order. I ask the clerk to note our starting time for the minutes as 7 p.m. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe peoples. We wish to recognize the long history of Indigenous peoples in Canada and show our respect to them today. We recognize their stewardship of the land. May we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship. Tonight's meeting is being streamed live on the Municipality of North Perth YouTube channel and will be available there after the meeting as an archived video. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and/or the clerk have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances when deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. Thank you. Welcome to those who are joining us via the YouTube channel. Welcome to councillors and staff who will participate in this meeting. At this time, I invite your decorum over the course of the meeting. I do advise that I have attendance regrets from Councillor Duncan this evening. Let us move first to item 2.1 of our agenda pertaining to pecuniary interest. For the benefit of those unfamiliar with our council practices, provincial legislation requires councillors with a potential pecuniary or financial interest in any item at the council table to declare this interest and to remove her or himself from discussions and voting on the item. In accordance with recommended protocol at this time, I invite all councillors with perceived pecuniary interest, including those who have already declared in writing, to verbally advise the chair in public session and to submit documentation to this effect in writing, if not already done, to the clerk. Councillors are further reminded that should a potential conflict arise during the meeting, they may so declare and act at any point in the meeting. Let us begin tonight with Councillor Anstead. Welcome, Councillor Anstead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg. This evening, through you, I would like to declare a pecuniary interest on item 5.5.1, the accounts, specifically the daycare accounts, as my son attends the St. Mary's daycare, and also on item 13.1, the confirmatory bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anstead. Next up is Councillor Behrens. Welcome, Councillor Behrens.
Good evening. This evening, I would declare a conflict of interest on 5.3.1 inclement weather policy for children's services, 5.5.1 specifically the daycare accounts, and 13.1 the confirmatory bylaw, as I have grandchildren attending the North Perth Spinrite Child and Family Center and after-school programming. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Behrens. Let me just query, Councillor Anstead, did you also wish to declare on 5.3.1?
Yes, thanks, Mayor Kasenberg. Through I had considered that. I wasn't going to, but I think just in the interest of making sure everybody's on the same page, I will declare a conflict of interest on that item as well. Thank you.
Yes. And next up then is Deputy Mayor Kellum. Welcome, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Kasenberg. And through you, I also will declare pecuniary interest on items 5.3.1, the inclement weather policy, as well 5.5.1, the daycare accounts, as my grandson attends the St. Mary's Child Daycare Center, as well 5.5.1 Perth Meadows accounts, as my mother and father-in-law are tenants at Perth Meadows, and consequently 13.1, the confirmatory bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other councillors wishing to declare who have not yet done so? We're not seeing any indication of that, so let's explain our virtual processes. Tonight, I'll be systematically trying to seek consent from councillors as movers and seconders of the various resolutions and bylaws that are put before us. I'll do this to some degree alphabetically. Should a councillor not wish to respond to the request, they may say so, and I will move to the next name on the alphabetical list. Regarding speaking to our business, councillors tonight will identify themselves through our conferencing technologies chat function. The clerk is assisting me tonight in maintaining the speaking order from that source. Councillors are allowed on their turn to deliver a primary question or comment and may make one supplemental without intervention from me. We will follow speaking order carefully, and any councillor wishing to have another kick at the can after that will have to indicate again and go to the bottom of the speaking list. This is a normal process consistent with Robert's Rules of Order. Councillors are reminded, as always, that if I believe you're not audible, I'll let you know, call on you, send you smoke signals, and so forth. Councillors are further asked to maintain a mute state in the web conference until I have called upon you for a verbal reaction. Should any of your votes not show up in eScribe, I will call on you when things seem stalled to register a manual vote. At that time, take yourself off mute, answer yes or no on the motion, then return to mute. So let's turn to item 2.2 of our agenda. I have a motion before me for the adoption of the agenda for tonight's meeting that reads as follows: that the agenda for tonight's meeting be approved. Can I call on Councillor Andreessen to be our mover for that one tonight?
Yes, I'll make that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Anstett, will you serve as our seconder?
Yes, I would second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate on this one? Seeing none, let's have that vote.
Councillor
Councillor
Rothwell, I'm in
Andreessen.
favor. My vote didn't come up.
Okay, so I heard Councillor Rothwell. I think I heard someone else.
Councillor Andreessen too. My vote didn't come up. Thank you.
Councillor Andreessen. And so who are we missing here? Councillor Seiler, we're missing your vote. What say you? I think we need to mark him absent for this vote, and so we'll call this carried with Councillor Seiler's absence. Thank you. Next up is item 3 on our agenda, the so-called consent agenda. These items are placed on our agenda because they are believed to be non-contentious, yet they require council's recognition and action. Grouping them expedites our business. However, any councillor wishing to extract an item from the consent agenda for discussion, debate, or individual action may do so. There are 3 items on the consent agenda tonight, including the minutes of our last regular council meeting. Councillors, do any of you have a desire to extract any of these items for further discussion or action? It is the usual procedure. Okay, we're not seeing anything, so I have a motion for our consideration to receive 3 items as follows: that consent items 3.1 to 3.3 be received for information, and the minutes of the December 13th, 2021 regular council meeting be adopted. Councillor Behrens, can I call on you to serve as our mover for that?
Yes, I would make that motion. Thanks.
Thank you. And Deputy Mayor Kellum, will you serve as our seconder on that one?
Yes, I will second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote.
Councillor Anstett, I'm in favor. I just got had to restart my computer. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. So marked.
Councillor Rothwell, I'm in favor. My vote didn't come up. Thank you.
Thank you. So noted.
Councillor Satter, my vote didn't come up either. I'm in favor.
So noted. And so with that, it is carried. Thank you, Council. All right. Using my discretion as chair, we have a very special extra item on our agenda tonight. Tonight, I have chosen to dedicate the next block of time just ahead of item 4 to pay some tributes to Patricia Bearfelds, the clerk of the Municipality of North Perth, who will officially retire in February of 2022, but for whom this is her last meeting as a clerk for our organization. We have a couple of speakers in this little program of recognition, and our first will be CAO Chris Snell, who will represent the staff of the municipality and, of course, who was her manager for a number of years. Chris, let me just reset my audio thing so that we don't create a black hole, right? Just hang on.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening, Pat. In 2002, Pat and I started a municipal administration career at the same time. Might even have been the same day. Since that time, either as colleagues working in different municipalities or our time together in North Perth, Pat has been a trusted and knowledgeable contemporary. A valued member of North Perth's management team responsible for the Clerk's department, including building and planning and the childcare. As everyone knows, before joining administration, Pat spent the first half of her career at the Municipal Daycare Center, working her way up to manager of the center. The childcare program provides quality childcare to our local families. But more importantly, it helps develop and shape our future community members. I have witnessed this many times firsthand by many of the young adults in our community that graduated through our center, acknowledging the influence of Mrs. Burfeld on their formative years. Trying to sum up 43 years of municipal experience in a few words is extremely difficult. However, if I could boil it down to describe Pat's contribution, it would be commitment to her community. Personally, through her volunteer commitment, through things like the church, Maitland Terrace, or hospice, to name a few. However, professionally, her dedication is commendable. Council basically every night for the last 20 years, plus providing first-rate customer service, often beyond office hours, and the times that may be not seen by the community, responding as a CEMC to ice storms, road closures in the middle of the night, setting up vaccine clinics during the pandemic, keeping a lost dog until the owner arrives. It takes this kind of commitment to stay in the public service for 43 years. It is a testament to Pat's love for her community. Over the years, we've shared many highs and lows, a couple of trials and tribulations, family milestones, work celebrations, and more than a few laughs. It has been my pleasure to honor and work along. It's my pleasure and honor to work alongside Pat. On behalf of the senior management team and staff, I would like to thank Pat for her contributions to our workplace and to the municipality of North Perth as a whole. We wish you all the best in your retirement. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, CAO Snell. Next, I'd like to call on Julie Behrens, my predecessor as mayor of North Perth, who has worked with and enjoyed the companionship of Clerk Bearfelds over many, many years, including a close professional relationship during her mayorship. Councillor Behrens, please.
Good evening, Mayor Kasenberg, North Perth Council and staff, and all those tuning in on live stream. You know, this must truly be a monumental occasion to find myself back behind a makeshift podium making comments. It is for myself and many of my colleagues truly a bittersweet evening. Tonight, join with me in celebrating 43 years of dedicated service to North Perth with passion, integrity, and that friendly, willing demeanor. Patricia Bearfeldt, you are an incredible individual with immense talent. For so many years, responsibility for our most precious resource was in your exceptional hands. I know it has been rewarding to see those first students entrusted to your care return to our daycare service with their children. With your unwavering leadership, you were instrumental in the building of a daycare network within our community from the ground up. Your legacy will live on for generations to come in the extraordinary childcare network you developed. As a member of an interview team tasked with finding a deputy clerk, well, quite simply, what an outstanding choice we made. Little did we realize how pivotal that choice would prove to be to the success of North Perth. You have overseen so many, my apologies, you have overseen so many services within the clerk's department. Oh my goodness, should we even talk about those elections? Most certainly, those elections brought forward some very interesting personalities, a few challenges, and incredible opportunities for North Perth. Might I suggest, if you are up for one more challenge, an election consultant in 2022. Your sense of humor, always welcoming, your knowledge expansive, your dedication, hard work, and sometimes long hours exemplifies your professionalism and your passion. Never a task too big or an assignment too small. They all received the same commitment to detail. You excelled at every task with distinction and finesse. Now, I could go on and on listing your accomplishments or give examples of your tenacious spirit, but seriously, that would most likely take another 43 years. I know I speak for past and current members of council when I say it is a treasure to know you, an honor to have served our community with you. You inspired us to do better, you embraced the challenges, and continually pursued opportunities for North Perth to excel. I hope when you look back on all the years, you have fond memories of the children, the staff, the elected officials, and yes, most certainly all the friendships you have built along help. And it was nice to see a smiling face when I came into the office on some of those truly challenging days. May I add, it was always fascinating to see how you decorated your office for all the seasons or added your personal creative touch to all North Perth celebrations, including the enchanting Cinderella Ball. There were so many times you went above and beyond your role. I assure you it was noticed and greatly appreciated. I hope retirement brings you new adventures, fabulous memories with family and friends. Have a wonderful next chapter, Pat. You will be missed. With your permission, Mayor Kasenberg, I do have a resolution for North Perth Council to consider. Since it is only a motion to give direction, I believe it to be in keeping with our procedural bylaw.
Please proceed.
The corporation, sorry,
Please proceed. Go ahead.
thank you, Mayor Kasenberg. The corporation of the Municipality of North Perth and the former town of Listowel deems it necessary, in the interest of this epic occasion, to acknowledge 43 years of exceptional service by Patricia Bearfelt to our community. Whereas, serving as daycare provider, manager of daycare services, deputy clerk, and clerk, she has served with integrity, passion, perseverance, and dedication for the betterment of our children, our residents, staff, and elected officials. Pat was truly a guiding light even in our darkest moments. And whereas Patricia's legacy will live on in our North Perth daycare network for generations to come, whether her commitment to child development or members of council, her expertise shone through in reminding individuals to always take turns, always be respectful, and always play nice with others. Therefore, be it now resolved, our entire community, all past and present staff, past and present officials, join in celebrating a truly incredible individual. May retirement bring new adventures, much deserved time with family, friends, health, and happiness. Congratulations and best wishes. And I would move that motion, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Behrens. May I call on Deputy Mayor Kellum, who has long service as well with Pat Bearfelts, to be the seconder of this motion.
Wow, what a motion. I have never heard one like that. And if I was Councillor Johnson, he would likely ask Councillor Behrens to repeat it, but we won't. Julie, fantastic. And I am so honored to second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Kellum. Council, we have a lovely motion on our table. I'm going to assume there is no discussion and no debate required at this point. What I would like is everyone to unmute themselves. I don't know how this is going to work, but I would love to call for a verbal vote of aye. So on the count of three, If we can all have ourselves unmuted. If you are in favor and wish to say aye, let's say aye on the count of three.
Ready?
1,
One,
3. Aye.
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 Say aye.
Here,
Yes,
here,
aye.
here, here.
And I'm quite convinced that is unanimously carried. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now it's my turn on behalf of the council, this council, and the corporation. Amongst the most powerful aspirations in a life is a desire to leave a legacy. Many of us find that left through and in our children and our grandchildren, and know that we have made these contributions to the fabric of our society. And then there is Pat Barefelds, who has both wonderful family and is leaving a rather large legacy well beyond that. Pat is retiring effective February 22nd. This is expected to be her last council meeting with us as clerk. She almost didn't make this one and is working from home tonight to support us. Pat began her career in childcare with the then town of Listowel. All I should say in order to be discreet is that it happened long, long ago. Okay, maybe I won't be so discreet. I had yet to drive a car when Pat was beginning to make her mark in our community. Pat had favorable interaction with the children of Listowel for many years, working in the Listowel Daycare Center. It can easily be said that one full generation and most of a second in our community know Pat from that role. She can go anywhere in town and she's just known, adored even. That alone is a pretty challenging act for anyone, since it can create chatty delays at the grocery store and in the drugstore, or even when you're on a walk. But Pat is the kind of person who can pull that off. In fact, Pat is the person that can pull just about anything. I've never asked Pat why she agreed to or suggested that she join the ranks of municipal clerks. Sure, you get to do some work which can be rewarding, issuing marriage licenses, keeping mayors in check, that sort of thing. Yet other parts of the role, as we've already heard, are somewhat less glamorous. Preparing signs to be installed on properties that are intending a land planning change, dealing with people angry about bylaw enforcement, dealing with the vital statistics registrar related to deaths and so forth in our community, wrangling with WebEx and eScribe and other technologies that on good days, enable the work of council. Pat has handled it, all of that with a certain determination and grace, and even, dare I say it, with style. We have known that Pat was in the retirement zone for a while, just based on job tenure. And now that it is upon us, I am filled with a certain awe at the dedication and commitment of the wonderful Pat Barefelds. I have already mentioned her determination. She has been wise when I needed advice. She has been a sympathetic ear to me and my predecessors as mayor, and to the many councillors who have graced our chamber over her tenure. She has enabled the work of this community. She has been a steady hand, which is the pinnacle, in my opinion, of the characteristics needed by a clerk. She has shown how pressure can be managed. Pat was remarkably kind to and considerate of me as one brand new to council, let alone being mayor when I arrived in 2018. She has been my partner in digital activities to make council happen week after week after week during this pandemic. Her expertise in so many realms, including in community emergency management, elections, land planning, building code, records management, and of course, childcare, will, from my vantage point, be sorely missed. I only wish I could have signed that elusive form that would properly release us from a state of emergency before her departure. Pat and I exchanged quite a few opinions over the last few years and had a number of great laughs and focused and sometimes tense work situations. She embarks well on a retirement journey that deserves more family time, more fun, and free Monday nights. And so I return to notions of legacy. Most of us should be in awe of Pat's legacy, a remarkable fabric of service above and beyond to our young, to our council, to her colleagues, and with an unflappable relentlessness aimed at doing right to our community. Look up the word legacy in the dictionary, and you'll see Pat's smiling face. She has been an example and a light to many of us. I conclude simply. Thank you, thank you, thank you. May you and Bill be blessed in your next journeys, knowing the pride and appreciation of a whole community is extended to you for your labors. Pat, I was supposed to warn you ahead of time that you're welcome to have a few moments to say a few words if you feel so inclined. Just tutted me for not doing so. So if you wish to offer some comments with no pressure, the floor is available to you at this time.
Well, council, I am working from my home for the first Monday night council meeting in 20 years. And I'm absolutely humbled. I'm absolutely over the top with your comments tonight. I'm sure you can guess I'm an absolute emotional mess. But I'm very grateful. And for the 43 years that I've worked for North Perth in the town of Listowel, I have considered it not a privilege, not an entitlement, but an honor to work for my community. Thank you.
Pat, Councillor Richardson.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor Kasenberg, Pat, I just wanted to say that since I was initially elected in 2010, that you have been a beacon of justice, so to speak, to put some of us new councillors on the right path. You've been a stalwart for policy and everything, and it just has continually baffled my and staggered my imagination to how much you can retain and actually know. And I just want to say that going forward, I want to wish you and Bill and family all the best in your retirement years. And you have been nothing short of an exceptional asset to the town of Listowel and the entire municipality of North Perth and everybody that you happen to know. You've been a godsend. You've been fantastic, and I wish you all the best. And you won't be easily replaced. I don't think that that's possible because you certainly are one of a kind. Well, you're one of a kind with me. Thank you so much, Pat, and I wish you all the best going forward. You're awesome.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. I can advise that, that Pat Fairfields has indicated that there will be a opportunity in better times for a gathering of her friends and professional colleagues and former members of council to have a little bit of a party, a little shindig at some point in the near future. And I know that I can speak for all of council in saying I look forward to that. And for once, Pat, perhaps you're not the organizer directly of that. Someone else will get the opportunity to organize the goodies and so forth that will make that a special occasion in our community. So again, thank you. I'll move forward here. Certainly an emotional night for many of us who are in North Perth. Let us move then to agenda item number 4. We have no public meetings for this evening's meeting. Further, we have no delegations that have asked for audience with council for tonight's meeting. That brings us to item 5 on our agenda, reports from departments and key staff. For item 5.1.1, council is asked to approve an updated process for the annual performance review of the municipality's chief administrative officer. This process has been refined by council's Human Resources Committee I'm going to call on Human Resources Team Lead Jen Robinson to present this report and insight into relevant tools and process. Welcome, Ms. Robinson. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg, and good evening, members of council. So as Mayor Kasenberg has indicated, we are proposing an updated performance review process for the Chief Administrative Officer. North Perth completes performance reviews for all staff annually, and the goal of that process is to have professional discussions surrounding work duties, training and growth opportunities, and performance goals of our staff. The process historically for the CAO has involved the entirety of council participating in that process, which has led the process to have a very corporate overtone rather than an individual perspective on the process for the CAO. What we're bringing forward this evening is a process that will bring that back to a more individual application for the CAO. And I would just like to run through what we are suggesting to you. So I have in the council package provided an updated performance review form, as well as a 360-degree feedback form, which I will explain to you as we go through the performance review cycle. So with the new process, we are recommending that there would be quarterly reviews with the CAO and the mayor being that designated, the designated meeting, the designated staff person to conduct those meetings, as they have the most closest working relationship with the CAO. So a quarterly meetings to just go over checkpoints within the review process to make sure that we're still on target, to talk about any issues or successes that the CAO is having during that quarterly review. And then the real work happens in Q4. So in Q4, the CAO would take an opportunity to populate that performance review form with evidence, evidence towards meeting the goals and objectives of that review process. There would also in the Q4 be a 360 review, so questions put out to both council members and direct reports of the CAO. Those questions would focus on predetermined core competencies, so such as ability to make decisions, coaching and leading staff, just as some examples. And we would be asking council members as well as direct reports to provide evidence-based feedback on those core competencies so that we can assess whether or not the CAO is successfully meeting those objectives. Once the 360-degree feedback, so from both council and the direct reports, is received, HR would draft a performance review document that would be circulated to both the mayor and the HR committee for review. Once that review has been vetted through those committees, through the committee and through the mayor, the performance review would actually be completed either by the mayor or by the mayor and the HR committee as deemed appropriate, given the tone, the underlying tone of the performance review for that year. So the performance review would happen. Goals would be set up for the next year. So again, the whole premise of leading the next year's performance review would be based upon the goals that were set the previous year. So goals would be determined during that performance review discussion. And then council would be advised of what the goals for the upcoming year are through a confidential email from HR. So what we've done is we've taken more intimate meetings with the CAO and mayor, and HR committee, as they are working quite closely with the CAO versus the rest of council on many occasions, and allowed an opportunity for council and staff feedback through those 360-degree review questions. I think that Todd and I have worked, Mayor Todd and I have worked quite closely trying to develop a process that is going to meet the objectives of the corporation, as well as provide really insightful feedback to the CAO and help determine appropriate goals and objectives as we work our way through the year. The forms and a little bit more information is included in the council report, but I'd be really happy to answer any other questions that either need clarified or that you have about what we are proposing.
Thanks, Ms. Robinson. Council, any questions or first comments? Okay, I'm not seeing any at this hour, so I have a resolution for our consideration. It reads as follows, that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approve the updated CAO performance review process. Councillor Johnston, can I call on you to serve as mover for this one?
Yes, I would so move.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson, will you serve as our seconder?
I will second that. Thank you.
Thanks. Any discussion or debate? Councillor Rothwell, a question.
Thank you, Mayor Todd. And thanks for the report, Jen. I'm certainly in favor of what's being proposed, but frankly, as a councillor, I can't recall that we've actually done any performance review in the 3 years of our term so far. It certainly sounds to be very appropriate going forward, but I can't compare it to our process that we currently have in place. Is there any help you can provide in that in terms of past experience? Thank you.
So certainly I do recognize that we have been lacking in the CAO performance review process mostly throughout this entire term of council. The reason has historically been is that the process hasn't really provided much. The process as it had been developed previously hadn't really been effective in providing effective and efficient feedback in terms of individual markers of performance. It basically boiled down to being a corporate scorecard, which I think we're getting from other avenues of our operations. So acknowledging that you don't have much to compare to, we do think that this process will be streamlined for members of council, as well as just more beneficial in terms of the output for the CAO.
Thank you.
Anyone else with discussion, debate, or questions? We're not seeing any, so let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Next up is item 5.2, reports from the Clerk's Department. For item 5.2.1, Council is asked to defer, making a recommendation to the County of Perth on a proposed official plan amendment on a property in Listowel ward as brought forward by owner HAE Listowel Inc. Council is further asked to defer a supporting request for an amendment to the North Perth zoning bylaw. I'm going to call on Sally McMullen, Manager of Planning for the County of Perth, who has prepared this file for our consideration. Ms. McMullen, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg, and good evening, members of North Perth Council, staff, and public. I really enjoyed your tribute to Pat. She has been a true joy to work with, and she's spoken highly of by many of the neighbors and friends that I've come to know since moving here. So Pat, I really wish you well in joining the group. So tonight I'm bringing to you a recommendation on an official plan and zoning amendment, as Mayor Todd has pointed out. It would be to permit a mixed use building, including commercial and residential condominium units on the vacant lot that is beside the Kentucky Fried Restaurant here in Listowel on Main Street. So I'm offering this recommendation to defer, and I have offered specific details in the recommendation on what I think should be achieved by the developer for each of the amendments in order to proceed. The recommendation did take quite a bit of deliberation, and I landed on deferral really for two main reasons that I'll share with you now. The first one is an opportunity to be really, really clear that planning wants to encourage intensification projects like what is conceptualized here. We could really use more of this kind of application to make the most out of our land base and the infrastructure that we have available that the municipality is already invested in. Available land, as you know, isn't plentiful right now in Perth land for new developments. And something that I've been thinking a lot about lately is what conditions need to exist for that draw towards an intensification or redevelopment project to compete with the draw to undertake development on completely new lands or greenfield development. So that's reason number one. And reason number two is that I really have a preference for giving people and projects a chance. I like to set targets and explain them so that the applicants have an opportunity to basically rise to the occasion. I believe that I've been trying to help this particular application along rather than just shut it down for some of the deficiencies that I see and have described in my report. With the most recent correspondence from the applicant that was copied to all of you as well and received after providing my recommendation to you, I'm left thinking about really the considerable resources that the department has put into the application with somewhat disappointing results over the amount of time that we've been looking into it. To summarize though, a redevelopment project like this takes careful step-by-step planning. And step one is really simple. Are there environmental or safety reasons why this lot shouldn't have housing on it? So once we have that record of site condition and the compatibility work completed, then we'll know some of those answers, and the rest of the steps in the process fall into line after that. So you can see in the correspondence a day or so ago that the applicant and I disagree on what a completed, thorough investigation of compatibility looks like. And I'm recommending a course of action to you tonight that I believe would lead us to a well-planned and complementary development for this neighborhood and for the community beyond the neighborhood. So for now, my recommendation stands as presented in my report to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McMullen. Council, questions or first comments on this matter? Councillor Rothwell.
Thanks, Mayor Todd, and greetings to you, Sally, and thanks for your report. I didn't see where in your report you talk specifically about our previous discussions that we had with Planner Sean Yilmaz on this, but I thought we were clear in terms of North Perth Council and recommending issues to be addressed. And I do know in the report there was a comment with respect to members of the public that expressed some concerns. I fully agree with the recommendation and your process that you followed with the applicant, but is there no desire on behalf of the applicant to speak directly to council as to why he's not willing to submit the required documentation? Thank you.
Through you, Mayor Todd, in response, thank you for the question. I undertook a review right from scratch on my own in order to bring you a recommendation that I felt I could stand behind today. I looked at the information that was provided through the public consultation from the neighbors, and they speak to concerns around compatibility. And I think that conversation and further discussion about those concerns that were raised by neighbors and neighboring businesses really needs to be had once we have a thorough compatibility report in front of us. I'd like to know more about how the development would interact with neighboring uses and be impacted by neighboring uses. And I think that from doing that study, that we would learn insights as to how the site could be further designed to mediate certain incompatibilities that may or may not exist. But I just feel like the first steps haven't been revealed to us, and we won't be able to have a really good discussion about it until we have those pieces. And I've asked for them in different ways and still not received a response. I'm sure the applicant would very much like to speak to you. And they have given you more details via email on their response around compatibility. From my perspective, it is more, the response received to date is more about not having to do the study that I'm recommending rather than completing it.
Thank you, unfortunately.
Any further questions or first comments? I'm not seeing any. I think for the record, this one is it's important that I read this one fully into the record. So I do have a resolution for us. It's not as long as some of the doozies that we get, but here we go. That the Council of the Municipality of North Perth received the report titled Listable Official Plan Amendment 33 and North Perth Zoning Bylaw Amendment 02-2021 on behalf of HAE Listable Inc. for information. And that the Municipality of North Perth defer a decision on Official Plan Amendment 33 until the developer provides: one, a record of site condition has been completed for the subject lands and registered by the province of Ontario following their approval; two, an evaluation of compatibility of residential uses with the existing uses in the vicinity of the subject lands be completed as per the D6 series guidelines and to the satisfaction of the Municipality of North Perth; and three, an evaluation of affordability regarding the proposed residential units and consideration of potential measures within the development that may contribute to the provision of affordable units in the community. And that the Municipality of North Perth defer a decision on zoning bylaw amendment 02-2021 until the following details have been provided by the developer and evaluated: one, a rationale for the proposed parking for a mixed-use building; two, provisions for outdoor amenities and outdoor storage, waste, bicycles, etc. are drafted for the mixed-use option and included in the zoning amendment; and three, any setbacks or other mitigation mechanisms resulting from the land use compatibility assessment be included in the provisions for the zoning amendment. Councillor Rothwell, could I call on you to be the mover of this one?
I so move, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Seiler, will you serve as a seconder?
I will also second that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Not seeing any indication, so let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. That allows us to turn, and thank you. Always a pleasure to have you with us, Ms. McMullen, and we wish you the best of the season.
Thank you, and back to you.
Let's turn to item 5.3 then, reports from the programs department. For our only item for this department, item 5.3.1, council is presented with a draft of a new inclement weather policy that supports our children's services programs. I'm going to ask North Perth Manager of Programs, Amy Gangle, to give us a brief overview of this item. Welcome, Ms. Gangle.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. As weather conditions can be varied, staff reviewed policies from some neighboring communities to develop an inclement weather policy for our centers for council's consideration. Key highlight is we make every effort to remain open for our parents and families as much as we possibly can. However, on some conditions where all roads are closed or issues that require us to close our programs, that we would not charge our families for those scheduled space days. Those are the key highlights there for council's consideration. Open to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Ms. Gangle. Any questions or first comments on this one? We're not seeing anything, so let me read the resolution into the record for our consideration. It reads as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the inclement weather policy for children's services programs. Councillor Andreessen, can I call on you to be our mover for that?
Motion, thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Johnston, will you serve as our seconder here?
Yes, I would second that.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried, noting the abstentions from those who earlier declared pecuniary interest. Ms. Gangle, thank you. It's been a little while since we've had you at our council table. Lovely to have you here tonight as a presenter, and we wish you a Merry Christmas. Next then is item 5.4, reports from our facilities department. We have no reports tonight from the facilities department as item 5.4, but I know they have lots of duties with regards to things, both maintenance and COVID these days, and so we appreciate all of their efforts. That allows us to move down the road to our finance department as item 5.5. As item 5.5.1, finance staff has brought forward for council review of the accounts as of this day, December 20th, 2021. I'll note that some councillors have declared a potential pecuniary interest in this item and will absent themselves from consideration and voting. From the others, are there any questions about this report for our staff? It has a big number, this one. Okay, we're not seeing any questions coming forward, so let me read the resolution into the record that the following summary of accounts be received by council for information. The total is $4,043,269.97. Can I call on Councillor Richardson to be our mover of that?
So moved.
Thank you. And Councillor Rothwell, will you be our seconder?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate? We're not seeing any indication. Let's have that vote. And we need one more. I think it's Councillor Rothwell. Yeah. Councillor Rothwell, what say you?
I'm in favor.
Thank you.
I did vote, but it must not have gone through. Thank you.
There we go. And with that, then the motion is carried. Thank you very much. All right, let us move forward again. That brings us to item 5.6, reports from our Environmental Services Department. Nothing this evening. I know they are busy. Next up is item 5.7. Similarly, no report this evening, and they too are busy as winter comes on. Let's turn now then to item 5.8, reports from the fire department. For item 5.8.1, council is asked to amend Schedule D of the North Perth Rates and Fees bylaw, that's what it's called, specifically pertaining to services provided by the North Perth Fire Department. I'm going to ask Fire Chief Jenny Pape to present a brief overview of this report. Chief Pape, welcome.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, fire departments commonly charge for conducting fire safety inspections, reviewing fire safety plans, responses to motor vehicle collisions, burning-related violations, and false fire alarms. The Ministry of Transportation provides on an annual basis a rate that is suggested for fire departments to charge in response to apparatus response. So this evening, for your review, effort has been made to consolidate and simplify the rates and fees that are specific to fees that are charged by the North Perth Fire Department. While most rates remain unchanged, there are some specific fees that I would recommend be increased, and those are associated with requests for written reports, file searches, review of fire safety plans, securing premises after a fire, and increasing costs to reflect actual cost recovery. These fees are, I've looked into it, we've done a bit of research, and the fees that are proposed are in line with fees that are being charged in neighboring jurisdictions for similar services. I've also added in the language of current MTO rates. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Transportation doesn't often provide us the rates until It's after the fact, so they provide them after November 1st, even though they are to be in effect November 1st. So by adding the language current MTO rates, we wouldn't have to wait on them every year. We would know that we could add the CPI to them, and we wouldn't need to bring this back to you on an annual basis. I do apologize. There were two copies attached to the agenda. The first one is the marked up copy, and the second was to be a cleaned up copy, but it's an incorrect copy of the cleaned up version. So I would draw your attention to the marked up version. So specifically, you will see that I have recommended just streamlining some of our fees, especially specific to inspections. We had, prior to this, had specific rates that were relative to square footage or different types of occupancies and tenancies, which is not something that is common in the province of Ontario, and a bit cumbersome, honestly, for invoicing. I've also proposed an increase to the review of a fire safety plan that requires written response. The timing to review of fire safety plan is not insignificant. It does require staff time, and so these rates are more reflective of what it actually costs our staffing costs to review those. Same thing for a property file search. Previously, under the miscellaneous category, these various charges, some of them had plus HST. All of the fees under this bylaw would require us to add HST, not just those. Also, under the motor vehicle incidents on provincial highways, you'll see there that I've added current MTO rate across the board. Security of premises, full cost recovery. Previously, it had been a cost per hour. When I checked in with HR, it was not reflective of our costs. I believe that's all that I have to say on that, but I am open to any questions you may have.
Right, thank you, Chief. CAO Snell has just pointed out that there is a bylaw under Section 8 of our meeting tonight, I think, for this next meeting. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. So there will be a bylaw that will come forward at a later date. And I think that's the extent. Yeah, I thought so. Are there any questions or first comments? Do we have a resolution for this item?
Your worship, there is a recommendation. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, so there's a bylaw here, I see, that's available in our documentation for the evening. I believe we're to proceed with the bylaw, or are we letting this be inspected until the next council meeting? So CEO Snell is asking Jenny if you're satisfied with the schedule, given I guess there was a little bit of some confusion of what was attached or whatever.
Yes, and my apologies, that's my error. I didn't see that it was the incorrect clean copy. So that is ready, it's on my computer, but it was not forwarded or included as part of this agenda.
Okay, so we have a bylaw that's here. We want it considered tonight?
Yes, please.
Nodding his head and you're saying yes, please. So we have that here. I don't have a resolution in my book, but we have the bylaw resolution on the screen before us here. So let me put this on the floor then. The bylaw indicates that it's therefore the Council of the Municipality of North Perth enacts as follows. Replace section D, fire service fees in its entirety as attached. And this bylaw shall come into force and effect on January 1st, 2022. Read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation, the usual procedure for a bylaw. Councillor Seiler, will you serve as our mover for that?
Yes, I'll move that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Anstett, will you serve as our seconder?
Yes, I would second that motion. Thank you.
Thanks. Any discussion or debate on this one? Seeing none, let's have that vote.
My e-scribe vote didn't pop up. I'm in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Anstett. Please mark him as.
My e-scribe vote didn't show up either. I'm in favor as well. Councillor Rothwell.
Councillor Rothwell, yep. And so with that, we have unanimity that is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best holiday wishes to you, Chief Pape, and your family. Now let's move forward to agenda item 6. For item 6.1, councillors, are there any reports you would like to ask of staff or of our committees? As usual, the opportunity to speak is queued up by saying something in our chat function. I'm not seeing anything, so let's move forward to item 7. We have received no additional items of correspondence which require any action. That brings us to agenda item 8, which allows council to consider and enact bylaws. As item 8.1, council is invited to appoint personnel to serve as clerk and deputy clerk, given the looming retirement of our municipal clerk, Pat Perth, and the earlier retirement of deputy clerk, Jeanette Peter. It is anticipated that this is a holding move until we have hired new team members in early 2022. Are there any questions about this matter before we consider it? So we have a date change that we need to make in the actual bylaw text. Council, it says that the bylaw item 3 in the actual full bylaw text says that the action will come into force and takes effect on January 1st, and it should say 2021. So please take note of that. I have a resolution, therefore, for our consideration that reads as follows: that bylaw 140-2021, being a bylaw to appoint a clerk and deputy clerk, be introduced, read, and considered read a first, second, and third time, and be finally passed. That the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Councillor Behrens, can I call on you to serve as mover for that?
Yes, I would make that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And Deputy Mayor Kellum, will you serve as seconder?
Yes, I will second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote.
Councillor Rothwell, I'm in favor. My vote didn't come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rothwell. And maybe Councillor Johnston?
I'm in favor. My vote didn't pop up either.
Thank you very much. And so with that, that is carried. Very good. That allows us to move to item 9 on our agenda. Are there any councillors wishing leave to give notice of motion tonight? We're not seeing anything, so let's move to item 10 on our agenda. For item 10.1, are there any announcements that would be of benefit to our community or that reflect well on North Perth at this time? Usual process, get our attention through the chat function. We're not seeing anything there either. That brings us to agenda item number 11. We have no matters for consideration in a closed session meeting of council tonight. That means that we can also skip agenda item number 12, which is a return and report opportunity. Because there was no meeting, there is nothing to return and report about. Council, as a mandated good practice, acts near the end of its meeting agenda to confirm all of its actions and business of its meeting through what is called the confirmatory bylaw. I have the draft of one here in front of me for that purpose, which reads as follows: that bylaw number 141/2021, being a bylaw to confirm generally previous actions of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth, be introduced, read, and considered read a first, second, and third time, and be finally passed, and the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Councillor Johnston, would you do our moving duties there?
Yes, I would move that.
Thank you. And Councillor Richardson, will you be our seconder?
I will happily second that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Discussion or debate on this bylaw? Seeing none, let's have that vote.
Councillor Rothwell, I'm in favor.
Thank you, Councillor Rothwell. And with that,
Councillor Johnston in favor as well.
thank you, Councillor Johnston as well. Um, Deputy Mayor Kellum, I think you didn't intend to vote on this one, right? There's a vote cast there. Right.
And I'm not sure how that came up, but anyway, no.
Thanks, Doug. Okay, so now we've got that fixed up for the record, and that is carried. Thank you very much. Before we adjourn this evening, and it's been an emotional meeting for many of us, let me invite my colleagues to offer their Christmas and holiday wishes, should they so wish. Let's move backwards this time in alphabetical order. Councillor Seiler, would you like to offer Christmas greetings to our community?
Thank you, Mayor Todd. Yes, I hope that everyone has a very safe and Merry Christmas and healthy one. And hopefully everybody has lots of turkey and what have you, and to the best of everybody in the new year. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Seiler. Councillor Rothwell, you'd be next on that reverse alphabetical list. A song for us?
Perhaps. I think I appreciate this, Mr. Mayor, opportunity to wish Christmas blessings and to each and every one in our around the council table and staff, as well as members of our community. When we have so many things to be thankful for, even when going through challenges, we need to make sure that we focus on showing the love and care to our neighbors, our family, and certainly our community. And we appreciate the work and effort of all those that do their best to show that care and support to those in need within our community and around the world. So I wish council and staff all the best in this Christmas season. Blessings to you.
Thank you, Councillor Rothwell. Councillor Richardson, you'd be next.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor Kasenberg, I would like to extend holiday greetings and all of the benefits that the holiday can bring, and Christmas cheer, Happy New Year, and everything that can go forward with that, because like Councillor Rothwell had alluded to, we do have an awful lot to be thankful for. So I certainly would like to extend a Merry Christmas to one and all, and a very Happy New Year in 2022. I'm certainly hoping that it'll be much better than the year that we've had in the past, but I'm quite certain that it is. But I would just like to extend all the best that the holiday has to offer. So be safe, be well, and be kind. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Councillor Johnston, you're up next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I just want to extend my holiday greetings to not only members of council and their family and our staff and their families, but also to everyone in North Perth and in this community. It's such a great place to live and work and play, and we just hope that everyone stays safe this season, has a great enjoyable season, a great enjoyable time with family and friends if they can safely gather. And we just pray that 2022 is a great year, and we all look forward to what it does lay in store for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Kellum, you're next.
Thank you through your Mayor Kasenberg. And no doubt 2021 was very challenging, but there were some good points come from it as well. But to my colleagues, to all of the staff of the Municipality of North Perth, and to the residents of the Municipality of North Perth, please take some time and have a well-deserved holiday. And we will see you all in 2022. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Councillor Barron's next.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg, through you, to everyone. I am more traditional, so I'm going to wish you a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. And as you can gather safely, I hope when you're surrounded by family and friends that you remember to be grateful for, even though there's been challenges, for everything that has been accomplished in 2021, and certainly embrace and look forward to continued challenges in 2022, but just, I think, be thankful for everyone in your life and let them know how much you appreciate them. Thank you.
Councillor Burns, Councillor Anstead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Mayor Kasenberg, through you and through Everett and the rest of the Anstead family. I just want to wish everyone a very joyous Merry Christmas and holiday season. I realize that this season, much like last season, is probably not going to be a Christmas in the traditional sense, but it's my hope that you're still able to gather safely with friends and family and really celebrate all that we have been given in 2021. And not only that, to look forward to hopefully a much better 2022 and many years going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Andreessen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to really extend my Christmas greetings to our entire staff at North Perth, to my council colleagues and their families, and to all the citizens in our municipality. I just want to, really challenge all of us to lean on the characteristics of hope and optimism that the season brings to us. I think we've been facing a lot of challenges over the last couple of years, and hope and optimism will really be something for us to really focus on, so that we can really rise to the challenge and be resilient in the days ahead. I just wish everyone a very safe and healthy Christmas, and look forward to working with all of you in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Andreessen. At this hour, I'll wish all a warm, safe, and wonderful Christmas and holiday season. My son and his wife are traveling to Atwood, so we will have our small family all together. And I can tell you that my wife Sharon and I are looking forward to good company and perhaps good food, and extend wishes to all of you for similar. I, of course, urge care and contacts and in those precautions needed to reduce the spread risk of COVID-19. We are sadly in the midst of another high spread period, and so I urge all eligible to receive third doses of their vaccines, the surest method for reducing significant health risk. To all again, Merry Christmas. Now, councillors, we have completed the deliberation and some important business, and perhaps most importantly tonight, the tribute to our beloved clerk. At this time, have a motion to adjourn before me that reads as follows. The council meeting adjourns at 8:13 p.m. to meet again for general council business on Monday, January 10th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Councillor Rothwell, can I call on you to be our mover for this one?
Yes, I so move.
Thank you. Councillor Seiler, will you be our seconder?
Yes, I will second that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This one is undebatable. Let's have that vote.
I'm in favor. My vote didn't register.
Thank you,
Oh,
Councillor
thank you.
Anstead. And with that, that is carried. Council, thank you for a successful 2021. We do have a longish break this time. This council meets again for our next regular meeting using digitally enabling technologies on Monday, January 10th, 2022. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Have a great holiday season.